Okay.
Most weight loss programs are short-term fixes, but managing your weight needs a long-term solution. And that's what makes Noom different.
Recurring revenue. They provide a
Joining the Navy.
Empresas de servicios públicos locales, ayudándote a
podcast called Your Guests, Actors, Bury Me in the Snow.
God damn it, Doran, come on!
Really, I'm a little bit nervous.
Bury me in the snow and leave me here.
That's if they haven't made up any other stories.
I also ate poison berries.
That's not my fault.
What words could it be?
Listen, the ingenuity to make cake...
I just want one, and I want it signed, please.
And tear our limbs from our body.
Are you traveling?
I mean, I'm a little speechless.
Oh, I mean, one is the best.
Have you considered using that type of pepper over there?
I've been trusting bakers for a long time.
They're killing machines. Look at them.
Hi, that's not the right episode. Oh, you guys heard me skipping through those I really thought I was alone. Well, that's life. 3 whole minutes of ads, and that's not the right episode. I guess my feed didn't update. I mean, I could do any episode. There's only 2 of you. Also, hi, Dandelion Bob. Hi, Esperanza, my partner. Hi. This is good. I'm fidgeting around. This is how all streams start, really. Fidgeting around with tech. Do y'all got an opinion about what episode? I'll do the most recent one if there's no comments, but if y'all have a favorite or something. Take your shirt. Not that kind of stream, babe. Gee. God. They're gonna get the wrong idea. Oh, hell yeah. We'll do the most recent one then. Nice. I'm gonna attempt to skip through
Most
those
weight
ads.
loss programs are short-term fixes, but managing your weight needs a long-term solution.
Was the world's best.
One with Matt and Tom. See you.
Honestly, the shirtless in winter is...
He's not a snack, he's a meal.
Don't tell me what to do.
Finally, you put a little zazz on it.
I like it.
Thanks, McDool.
You've been to battle?
What blurb did you write?
I've had better grass.
He licks your hand a little.
Well, here we go.
Fuck your shit, Alistair.
Summon pet.
Is this OSHA certified?
This is really basically a fire exit.
Mari's trying to just not look down too much. She does not like heights. And she's just, again, she's...
Hey, we had one of you before.
Oh, no.
Don't worry, he died. But not from falling.
Not from heights.
Welcome back to Dice Shame. This is Season 2, Episode 64, Mountain Oysters.
MVP this week is Nick Siegel. Nick commented on our Facebook page saying, I love this pod and you folks that make it. I've been listening since the very first episode. I can't wait for each new episode. I can't wait for the new episode each week. Best D&D podcast out there. Thank you so much for listening, Nick. You're this week's MVP.
Yeah, thanks, Nick. All right, should we do this?
Yeah, let's do it.
Woo!
Anybody ever realize that when we do that, dun 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 dun, we're kind of continuously saying D and D. So one of you shared in the chat that we have.
We have a
last
sneaky
week.
chat just for us, and none of you can read it.
Yeah, we have this chat. And
No homers allowed.
We allowed one. No Alex is allowed. We're allowed two.
Oh no.
And one of you shared sort of a comment, and the person's comment in the picture that was shared was, any setting where the elves have weaker boos than the dwarves isn't committing to the bit. And the idea there is that elves have lived an infinitely long time. They just live and live and live and live, and so
It's all they're good at, really.
It's really all they do.
So they have all this time to like perfect their their
tolerance,
whatever it is, whether it be honey or booze, or maybe not honey. Honey's honey. But
what's your question, Alex?
So I think it's less about a question; it's more about a discussion.
Less of a question, more of a comment.
Do you think that just because elves have lived longer than most other, D&D species, that they therefore have the best equipment, alcohol, food? Like, do they have the best of everything? Or not? I mean,
there is something to be said for species that live longer having more of an opportunity to perfect things, right? Like if you only have a 5-year lifespan as a being, you're probably not going to spend all of that time trying to perfect how to brew beer. You got other shit going on.
This is why hamsters are so bad at sculpture.
Yeah.
That's the worst. Although by that same logic, I'd expect elephants to be better painters.
Right.
Yeah, right.
They're going to be concerned with procreating, and that's about it, right?
Fucking.
Yeah.
They just want to get busy.
Okay, but here's the question though. It's like, what is best? You know what I mean? Like if you were to say this is the best movie ever made, right? In 1944, that's a very particular type of movie. In 2023, it's a very different type of movie. And I think what maybe could be said is that a creature with an infinitely long life, or however long elves actually live, or whatever, their version of best probably changes every 100 years or 50 years or 20 years maybe, where it's like the best wine is this type of wine. And then 20 years later, the best type of wine is like this new type of wine. And what could be interesting is like a dwarf or anyone taking a sip of that wine from that year might be like, this is fucking trash. Because really what you're tasting is a lineage of experiences and failures, and like understanding that fall 10 years ago was when the berries went sour and we all developed this taste for the sour wine, which kind of adds a layer to this wine this year that you wouldn't really appreciate unless you were alive 200 years ago to taste that sour berry. You know what I mean?
There's a simplification taking place because we're in this fantasy world. And I don't know why it would be any different than like, this art movement thinks this is the best and they're going to only depict the real world with straight lines and no angles. But it's some pretty shitty art if you're trying to do a realistic painting of something else, right? Like it really depends on where you're coming from and what you're trying to achieve. And I think there are as many the best version of anything as there are cultures or peoples or movements or whatever, right? Like maybe you've got the movement of people in your fantasy world who wants to make the best synthesis of taste, wants to take the best from every culture of the elves and the dwarves and the halflings and make the coolest thing together, versus the purists who want to, only want the special dwarven IPAs from down under or whatever.
Right. But if you take that in infinite time,
yeah, that's fair. Okay, so I've turned the podcast way down.
Eventually,
I'm at a normal level. I could turn myself up, I guess.
Here's another thing.
I so don't agree with that. Like I hear that
Rob
argument
is
a lot. With anything
Rob is a fierce fighter in this argument.
I just don't think that's how.
What I'm saying
So I guess let me know how the audio levels should be.
That's why
What the
Cubism
fuck
and
was I
all
doing?
these
An
different
eyebrow.
art styles were like, hey,
Why did I draw
that
it like
painter
that?
Did this Renaissance? I want to do it different. And then this painter's like, I want to do it a little different.
Y'all
And
are so
that's why
cute.
that progression of art
But
is
that
like-
quote is
and what I'm saying
hot
is,
shit,
from an
man.
outside
So
perspective,
cool.
Stepping in on the elves during
I
their
can't
Cubism
believe
period,
how
tasting their wine, which, as an artist would say, based on like the
freaking
lineage
detailed
of
quilts can get.
styles,
It's
you
insane.
You could pick out one picture from a very influential period and go,
Yeah.
that's trash. Because you're viewing it from an outside perspective and not seeing it within the frame.
The context.
The context. Yeah. And I'm saying elves or long, living creatures have context that I don't think best is really ever what they're after, but more so an ever-evolving palette and taste and flavor of like what the fuck the next thing might be. And I would love to see what the equivalent of like hippie
Fuck yeah
would be in the Tolkien universe.
Embroidery.
Because they went through cubism at some point. And
something I deeply admire and really hate doing. It's hard, tedious work.
Saying what Joe was saying are two things.
Very
from
cool
the
stuff.
Very same side of it. Like I think if you had infinite time, the chances that you have preserved the context of all these
kind of embroidery out of need then
are better than someone who wasn't actually there. And so the idea that you could bring that context with you to the experience of a thing is important. But I also think if you have infinite time, you suddenly can run the experiments on terroir.
How's the audio, by the way, guys? I mean, I know there's a buzz from my laptop, but
hey, maybe if it's a
do you want the podcast to be louder? Do you want me to be quieter? Do you want me to be louder?
How many times can you do that if you're a person versus if
you're an elf, tentacles?
You have the best chance of
I have no context for malevolent, so
in a way that's got
I'm surprised about the tentacles.
One person doing it.
Yeah, but again, I think you'd eventually get bored and pivot and do it. Like, if your goal as an elf is like, I want to make the best table. 100 years in, you're going to make what you think is the best table. And then you're going to be like, I need to make a new type of best table. And at the end of your 900-year life, you're going to have 1,000 tables that look so vastly different from the beginning to the end because the best is no longer achievable.
Audio's good. Fuck.
And you sit
yeah,
there
y'all.
Wishing for the end of your life because you spent
I don't think so. I think it's the complete opposite. I think the
Mm-hmm.
meaning is in that journey where they're like,
no, I'm kidding, of course.
I think for me, it's less important to think about the lifespan of.
I've heard that
in this fantasy world.
I've heard that TMA has tentacles too.
That creature's
from you and Ed,
for
I would
the
assume.
Specific thing that we're talking about.
But I will never
like,
listen to it.
For example,
I'm so sorry.
It doesn't have to be booze. Yeah.
We'll take drinking for this example, but if in our fiction, dwarves are a species that are more likely to enjoy getting fucked up, then they're going to be much better as a species in inventing ways to get fucked up than a species that is maybe like a lot more.
I find fabric really hard to find too. I mean, Joanne's is like really, really good.
And there's, of course,
but Joanne's is
There'll
clearly for
crazy elf who's
like
Kurt Cobain
old ladies. Do you know what I mean? Like it's nice and cute things. It's not like
trying every new way to get messed up. But
I'm on a plane.
Yeah.
But overall,
an outer plane.
But overall, like if you go to a party, you're probably gonna have more fun with the species that parties more. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
I definitely lost sight of the question. It was who makes the best, or who can do
Who
wine?
would make the strongest?
Who would make the strongest alcohol? That was the question.
Yeah.
Oh.
We went on a
I thought
journey.
well, he said who makes the best.
You're like, I'm talking about cubism.
He talked about the best, and to me that changed the conversation about best. If the question is who makes the strongest alcohol,
Harlan is so.
Lots of art museums. It's really infected my brain.
I was confused. I wasn't confused. It was Alex's fault.
I wouldn't really think elves want to make the strongest.
Maybe they do. I don't know. It depends on your own fiction.
I love the guy.
That wouldn't really be. And it's funny they do this.
I just know that I would argue with him so much in real life. He reminds me very much of a lot of people in my life.
Legolas does, and he's like, I can feel it a little bit in my fingertips. Remember? Because it's like he can't get drunk no matter what because he's so cool.
This is the Dice Shame Doodles and Quilt Talk pod.
I guess to me maybe they're arguing that.
Oh wait, hold on, it's a live stream. But Quilt Talk pod is so alliterative.
Well,
I don't know.
Legolas doesn't seem like the.
I'm on Team Dwarves.
Get drunk every day.
Yeah.
Stuff entirely because I feel
totally
like
Galaxy.
When like Harlan
extremely
and
true.
We were discussing like the elves going and doing like their cubist
Fuck
period
those
and blah
lips.
blah blah. I'm like, I don't think they would. I think that like in these societies that I always feel like that kind of like outsider art requires a lot of strife, and it requires like a sudden massive change within the structures of both like the artistic like society itself and the wider society like it's placed within, and I just don't think there would be enough upheaval to have that kind of art appear within these cultures in any sort of real like wide swath of them. Maybe one guy is out there doing something, but there wouldn't be like a movement. It would just be like, who? That guy? Oh, my weird cousin. Well, yeah, I know. He just paints weird stuff, and we don't.
And
get
that
it.
goes very much to the history of the world. But like as soon as I think the way elves are often presented in a lot of this fantasy fiction is like these
snooty.
Yeah, but maybe in the time when it was like only elves and they had their great big high elf kingdoms and there was nothing going on.
It's really interesting to me because they still butt heads, but like in a very
of this culture in a vacuum.
Interesting way, in that they can always find a new subject to butt heads over.
Fast young people.
Definitely one of my draws to the podcast was that the team. Okay, I actually can't talk over this podcast. I'm having a hard time. My polite instincts are taking over. Like, I can't interrupt.
Years of elven history. It's sort of like a zoom in, right? Like 1,000 years of human history might equal 100,000 years of elven history.
Okay.
So where
I have
period,
thoughts, so I'm going to pause the episode. You'll have to deal with that, everybody. Okay, and by everybody I mean the 3 people. The 5 concurrent viewers. Hello, 5 people. That's awesome. That sounds sarcastic. I have problems sounding genuine. It's actually awesome. I was expecting 3 or 2 or 4. I'm pausing it. Okay. I freaking love the relationships in this podcast so much. It definitely is one of the draws for me because I've listened to a fuck ton. NADPOD, Dimension 20, The Adventure Zone. I'm making this sort too complex. But like, and one of the things that always really bugged me was that they all get along so easily and they all make up quickly. And, you know, if there ever is an argument, it's like the argument never happened. And what I love about Dice Shame is that arguments are resolved, but they stick around. You know, like there's still bad blood and there's still like, it feels more realistic to me to have a group of adventurers who are sacrificing a lot to go on adventures and to save the world, etc., etc., you know, the usual dramatics, to not get along 100% of the time. Like, NADPOD, for example, I don't know how many NADPOD listeners there are, but like, they are always best friends, and that's touching in some aspects, but in other aspects, it's like kind of boring. And the Adventure Zone, you know, like, I did drop off after, like, I think graduation. I haven't listened to that one in years, but they're always friends. Like Amnesty, they had some arguments, but they you know, they cared about each other a lot. Really? All those campaigns do that? Yeah, Galaxy, 100%. Like really, Dice Shame is quite special. The only one that I can really think of that doesn't do that is Rogue Runners, which nobody in chat will know, I promise you. But it's if anybody knows the game Hades, the roguelike, it's a D&D 5e campaign set in the Hades world where the dead people are trying to escape hell or Hades, and it is a deeply fascinating podcast. I didn't like it in the second season, and I'll tell you why. Okay, I'm pausing I'm going off, y'all. Sorry. You tuned into Doodles and Dice Shame and Anna Talks for a while. But like, Rogue Runners had really interesting character relationships as well, for the same reason that Dice Shame does. Because arguments stuck around. They did not get along. There were 2 that absolutely hated each other, and it was really fascinating to listen to because their perspectives were correct. Like, there just objectively was reasons to hate each other for, you know, legitimate reasons. It didn't feel petty. It didn't feel scripted. It felt really good. I keep losing my lair. But in season 2, it got annoying because they were always fighting. And while I am singing the praises of a party that doesn't get along, a party that's always fighting and never gets along and has no reason to travel together because of that is also unrealistic. You have to have a nice balance of we're friends because and we're enemies because, If it's always friends, if it's always enemies, it's unrealistic to me. I just don't. I don't care. Wow, these earrings are big. It's kind of hard to talk and draw. I'm now realizing. I'm gonna push through. But yeah, I really like how Dice Shame does relationships because Red and Jack are objectively friends, but they have such different characterizations that make them butt heads realistically in a way that I totally understand. I'm usually on Jack's side because I'm a Jack stan, but like, it's complex. Yeah, yeah. Thank you, Scotty. And okay, I'll unpause the episode now. But those are my thoughts. I love Dice Shame's relationship. I think they really elevate the podcast in a way that I just love.
At which point, what we're seeing of a 5,000-year stretch of them, it seems like it's all the same note, but really that's just 100-year chunk in their lifespan the way it was for us. You know what I mean? Like, it's kind of tough because you're comparing a short human lifespan to a massively long elven lifespan and trying to use the same kind of like...
Yeah. But I also think that
science,
the shortness of life allows for more mental and internal strife, and for those things to allow people to create more.
So hamsters are great artists.
We've come back around.
Hamsters make the best art.
They are terrible.
Hamsters live a life of true strife.
They just make the weirdest outsider
and
shit.
cannon fodder.
Yes, and
side
Hamster art is so underground you don't even get it.
Oh.
Ayo. I love Rob.
These are some pretty great comments and opinions, but let me just tell you the proper opinion. So, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Let me just tell you why you're wrong.
No, but you know what? I mean, you guys have...
As a dwarf.
As a canonical dwarf.
I'm not necessarily taking sides, but I'm gonna put a couple thoughts out there. You know, have you ever been drawing a picture and you keep adding to it, and you got this really great picture that you keep adding to, but then you add to this picture, and the more you add, you think you're getting better until a certain point where you've added something to that picture. And you added it in ink,
you messed it up,
and you ruined it.
Drew a dick on it.
And you know, this is kind of going back to maybe something Harlan mentioned earlier, where you may get to a point where you're perfecting it so much that you ruined it, and now you have a different taste from what you began with, and it's so acquired to your own culture that every other culture thinks, wow, what is this sour trash or whatever. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So there's that point, but then, you know, there's also something to be said.
My
now,
own sketch
I don't know
lines
how
are confusing me.
Elves live, but there's also something to be said.
I should
for
make them blue. I don't want to. I don't care.
These all pretend. So
what Nursel was saying, but was like with respect to the culture. I mean, there's something to be said about having to look back at what prior generations have done and trying to do that better. But if you've lived all those generations,
I am gonna ink all the hair.
Really,
it's just a style choice. I really like doing it.
So
I know that
don't
it's
think
silly,
that's
but
true at all. I think you can
yeah,
see
that's how I
artists
roll.
now looking back at the art they made
Galaxy
40 years ago
and
creating art in response to it. Like everybody is constantly.
Yeah,
you know,
I
reflecting
really
back
agree,
and adjusting.
Scotty.
But I think just
Red
as
is a
many
perfect
people who are doing that. There's also the guy who like loves
tabaxi
trains on
characterization
day one and has been
in a way
building
that
model
is
trains
very
their
funny
whole
because
life
he's
and
not
will
even a
die
cat.
with a paintbrush building model trains
But
in
yeah,
his hand,
best
and
I've
that
seen
was just
so
the
far for
thing that
sure.
brought them joy, and there's no like you don't.
yeah,
There's that variation between individuals also, right?
you know, and I propose this subject, not that I expect there to be an answer. Sort of like when we're playing a game of Dungeons and Dragons.
It takes a lot of work. It's a
Couldn't agree
silly.
with you more.
hamster wine.
Realistically, if we had to come down on who makes stronger alcohol, I would say dwarves.
I would say. I mean, there are everything.
But what does everyone say? I actually want to know what everyone would come down on.
Dwarves for sure.
Oh, okay. Everybody in chat also has to come down on it.
I think
'Cause
dwarves
I-
live underground where it's hard to make wheat.
Yeah,
And it's
Rob,
going
hit
to
him
be
with that
somebody who lives
science.
above ground where they have the
Who
stuff.
said they made it out of wheat?
What the fuck are you talking? You think
I don't know.
wheat meat? Oh God.
Wow.
Ruin yourself.
Wow.
I'm
I think
so
cereal
pissed off.
grains have a lot to do with how strong your alcohol is.
Yeah.
Let your
Strange
real world wheat science.
Like
with
Fey
dwarves.
wine.
They
Like
make
Fey wine
mushroom
doesn't fucking
wine.
exist.
Yeah.
Rob.
But if you like my gut, my
wine.
the way I would. It's one of the things that's never made sense to me in fantasy These people who live underground love making beer a thing made with stuff only above the ground, and they're the best at it. It doesn't make sense to me.
It could be dirt beer.
Yeasts and molds don't exist underground.
Yeah.
I think it's Genasi. They're all weirdos.
Yeah.
They make great wine.
Just wanted to be a contrarian. Sorry for
you guys.
bringing a realistic
Tabaxis.
Yeah.
Hey, there's
You go,
no
Rob.
right answer, and that's the same way as playing a Dungeons and Dragons game. So
Anyway, my argument is people think we're reckless fucks. And
Alex
you
trying to
know what is
segue
gonna
into
make the
D&D.
strongest something?
Rob will not
I
stand
agree
down.
with you. I agree with you. Humans.
Let's go play D&D.
Yes. Finally, the segues come through.
Let's do it.
Let's go.
Okay. Everybody come down on it. Who makes stronger beer, dwarves or elves? I have my opinion. I'm saving it until last.
Scarborough, so close, yet so far. As the way is still shut, its password eluding you. Against your better judgment, you've left your best friends and adventuring companions in the company of someone you assessed to be a threat, an aggressive orc who is surely up to no good. A fact underscored by the screams you now hear from the distance. Your party is in trouble.
Yeah,
and they need your help.
That's a good point,
Like
Galaxy.
a little-
They're also
little
mentioning
locomotive
Kraloft a lot
who's
more now recently.
running over the hill, head down, he's all storming, and he's got his axe, and he jumps over the ridge, and
Hell yeah, that's what I've been waiting for. A little bit of flavor. Look, stewed tomatoes are fine, but it's just a fucking tomato. Finally, you put a little...
Okay, I'm pausing the episode because the chatty ones in chat have given their votes, which is dwarves and elves. I do agree with my partner here, and it's not because I love them, but like elves have so much longer to build up resistances. I don't think that it's a matter of passion, it's a matter of function. They gotta make beer that hits, or else what's the point of beer? Or at least wine in their case, because they're snobs. But I do love dwarves more than elves. I find dwarves' stories a lot more fascinating. And one thing about Kraloff I'll say, I kind of am sad, / maybe not disappointed, but some vein of that we didn't really get to see much of an aftermath of him dying. Like the scene of him dying. Oh, spoilers, by the way. Well, I'm listening to the most recent episode, so who cares? But like, yeah, I think elves would be aiming for. Okay, I gotta jump back and forth. I do think if you're making alcohol, I know that alcohol is tasty, but like, it also is for alcohol reasons. I feel like they would be making it just to feel something. Even if they're not going for the strongest ever, I feel like they would accidentally make the strongest ever just to make anything that affects them. Do you know what I mean? But I agree that dwarves should make the strongest. I feel like aesthetic-wise they should. Anyway, I'm kind of like a little sad that we didn't see the aftermath of that, because the scene where Dorn died, no! The scene where Kraloff died was really touching and heartfelt, and was really great acting from everybody all around, and I cried. But like, what happened when they got to Waterdeep? Because they were there for like weeks, and this is a very like goal-heavy crew. So it was fascinating in abstract to me that they didn't work on the giant threat for a couple weeks, which means that, I don't know, how distraught were they? I want to know. I know, they probably did have to do, because it was probably a complex situation of Justin leaving the podcast, but let's just ignore that they're like real people and this is a no, just kidding. But like, I don't know, I've just always been fascinated by that time skip, because they don't do time skips very often. It's a very like moment by moment by moment podcast. You know, you hear every campfire, well, most campfire sides, and you hear them walking and traveling, where a lot of podcasts would skip ahead to them meeting their destination, etc., etc. So a time skip to me feels very impactful and purposeful and intentional in a way that I like. am fascinated by, you know? Is this mouth too high? That's a too high mouth right there. I'll deal with that later. Who cares? I know! The Hunt Lords, I really care about the Hunt Lords. I really care about his unit's souls trapped by the Silver Dragon. I hope that they're gonna do something now that they're in the mountains. Isn't the Silver Dragon nearby? Yeah, okay. I'll unpause the episode, but agreed with everybody that's chatting in chat.
Zazz on it.
With his axe up above his head, he's like, "Wait, whoa, you're not fighting?"
No, finally feeling something. I love it when my mouth is on fire. Give me some more.
He just ate like 6 peppers.
Put your weapon down and come enjoy some food.
Don't tell me what to do. I'll lay my weapon down when I'm.
Don't tell me what to do.
And he lays his weapon down.
But on my terms.
And then yeah, he joins the crowd and a little apprehensively approaches the orc and he says, "Well, I'm sorry if I was rude. It's just it kind of took me off guard a bit seeing you out here like this. I mean, you never know who to see in the wild. You might stumble across an owl bear or something. Anyways, let me try some of your food. I'm starving."
Oh, here, Doran, try this stewed tomato on toast. It's very bland. You'll love it.
He serves you up the first course again, catch you back up with your friends.
Wow.
You're,
That's a lot of flavor.
You're welcome to your Kraloff bias love. It's definitely well warranted. He's a fucking excellent character.
Through his eyelashes, and he says,
I know what you're dealing with. I don't usually make friends with dwarves either. And
I kind of like the justification for Red, honestly.
Very pleased
in that
to see me feeding this hard work.
Okay,
food.
Guys, I don't know that I can talk over a podcast.
But that's not to say.
I just have too much polite instincts within me to not talk over people. But he's the best, yeah. Okay. I kind of liked the No Morning from Red because I think it harkens back to, like, do you remember when Kraloff was dealing with the hemp rat lady's, like, murder that he did? And Red took him on a walk outside that town and didn't want to deal with was like a little bit too complex of an emotion for him to deal with, so he just, like, bounced. I think it's a really cool. I don't know. It's a really cool characterization in my mind that I don't see very often of, like, somebody that's like, yeah, I don't know how to deal with hard emotions, so whenever that happens, I just run. Yeah, and in a way that, like, he justifies it well, but it's still cowardice in some way. Ooh, what happened, baby? Get back over there. My pen is acting very weird today. I think it's out of charge. Ugh. What the fuck was I saying? That's the one thing you remember from season 1? I think you remember more. Like, the fact that Kraloff is dead. Okay, guys, I kind of just want to talk about Dice Shame today. Is everybody okay with that? I mean, I know it's my stream, so I could just kind of tell you guys to fuck off, but I can't talk over a podcast. I'm too polite. Scotty will have to listen to it on their own time. Yeah, it's as a forever GM, I've had a lot of players that are always seeking emotional development and emotional, like, moments or regression, and that's awesome. That's really cool. Everybody wants the high hitting emotional moments, but I personally think that, like, you can't have too many of those. You can't abuse that. Like, you can't constantly have high-hitting emotive moments. Otherwise, it kind of gets like a little too theatrical and crazy, especially on your poor GM who has to bounce off of you. So having a personality type like Red's, where it's like, oh, too heavy? I'm out of here. I'm bored. I'm gonna look at something else. Blah, 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 blah. Bingo, bango. It's kind of cool because it means that you have to corner him. You have to corner him to talk about emotions in a way that I like. In a way that I kind of enjoy Mari being like, all right, I'm gonna Red, what's going on? In a way that I really like, because it's very opposite of what Mari's about, because Mari is super, like, Mari's very emotionally confrontational, not combat confrontational, not height confrontational, not, like, blood and guts and violent confrontational, just, like, we're gonna talk about what the fuck is happening right now, or else, in a way that I really enjoy, because it's a very good parallel to Red. I wish he squirmed a little bit more, which is such a GM thing to say, but, like, I don't know, I find it really fun. Yeah, Red must be cornered. Yeah, it's a very, as a GM, I, I like going with players. I like doing emotional highs and lows, but I also want to break from it, and I also want to pause things on occasion. I don't want to resolve things or do epic highs and lows all the time. I kind of like to let things simmer, and having a character that runs from conflict like that, I think would be very fascinating to GM, because things would simmer. Oh, things would hella simmer. I don't have too much experience as being a player, but I do like that the character that I'm playing with Galaxy right now is very non-committal in emotional highs and lows, because she doesn't want to talk about what's going on. She would rather focus on the problem at hand, and if it gets too heavy and if it gets too much, she'll run. And that's very fun for me to play, because I get to avoid the epic highs and lows that I'm a little not exhausted of, but you know, I'm striving for something new here. Yeah, if it's drama all the time, it is so exhausting, especially for your GM and for the players that are sitting next to you. You know, if you have like, oh, one of the worst vibes in a D&D campaign is somebody who needs drama all of the time, and other players that are not into it, because yeah, 100%, how can the plot proceed? 100%. But also, the thing with drama is that sometimes it's sitting around and waiting for your fellow player to finish up, which is cool, because I love watching my players go off. I love watching, you know, them be very passionate about their acting and everything like that, and their characters and having emotional moments. But if you have them too many, then it's a lot of sitting around time, and nobody likes that. Nobody likes that. I'm talking about this as if I'm a pro. I'm really very much an amateur, but I've been doing it for a couple years. But I think you guys are getting my vibe. Yeah? Yeah. I'm gonna take that yeah, even though I know there's a time delay, as a yeah to what I just said. I'm choosing to believe that was towards me. Okay, but dice shame. Well, yeah, balance is so important. I'm being very much a yes man, but doubt. If we're just gonna talk about dice shame the entire time, you two, and our little lurkers. Hello, lurkers. I love you. Favorite characters? Favorite moments? Anything you want to see animated? Any requests, by the way? I'm cool to keep going on Doran, but I can draw anybody. I can't draw anybody. That's very not a very humble thing to say. I will draw whatever you'd like me to draw. Hello, lurkers. The creepy, crawly lurkers in chat, who are only here for the good discussions. That's funny. Mario carrying all the salmon from last episode. Hi! Oh! A lurker! Hello. You don't have to pop out of lurking. You're welcome to lurk. I love lurkers. It's just... Oh, yeah, that was cool. Jack cooling his burning scar. There are some things in this podcast that I'm, like, really eager to animate, but they're also nasty, because this podcast gets surprisingly nasty. Like, everybody, when I did that chat in the Dice Shame Discord of, like, what's some cool moments from Season 2 that people would like to see animated, you know, I'll take suggestions. A lot of it was sewer moments, and the sewer moments are gross, y'all. I think they're fine in podcast audio. I think it would be very hard to post on YouTube and have people view it. Like, one of them literally asked for the, impregnating, Jack scene, and I was like, I don't know, y'all. 'Cause, like, you know, horror podcasts are a thing, for sure, they are, because, you know, sound is an effective medium, but visuals are, in my opinion, a really effective medium. Something that is scary in sound becomes 300 times more scary to me if it's actually, like, a visual thing. I don't know if I could safely draw Jack getting impregnated by a monster in a sewer. Like, that would be hard to draw, and also not funny, which I always do funny, except for this one Krylov thing I'm doing right now, which is not funny. But, like, I wanted to be like, that's such a cool moment, but also, no, no way. I know. Okay, I have to read chat. I'm really behind on chat. Oh, go back to lurking. Totally. We love our lurkers here. Yeah. I know. Poor Jack. Man, Jack in Waterdeep was a sad sight. It was like his friends just didn't care about him at all. Yeah, thanks, Galaxy. I'm not looking for references. They're so mean to Jack. They've been sweet recently, but, like, in the start of Season 2, you know what it felt like? It feels like Doran is, kind of the proverbial punching bag, but he's a great punching bag because he can so take it and bounce off of it very easily. Jack is not a great punching bag because whenever he gets punched, it's so pathetic. It's so sad and pathetic. And it felt like with Krylov gone, who was maybe a little bit more of a balancing force in the group, Red and Mari, oh well, Mari wasn't there for the beginning, kind of immediately turned to Jack and was like, all right, come here. We're gonna bully you. And it was very funny. But also, I'm a Jack stan, y'all. I couldn't handle a lot of it. They were so mean. He is a snob. You know what? If Harlan was here, he'd probably be like, he's a snob. He deserves it. You know, Red doesn't mean anything by it, etc., which I agree with, of course. But, like, and Rob probably enjoys it too. But, like, it's very different to be a part of that group than to be listening to it. Man, there's some shit going on in chat. Yeah, Rob is a very good sport about it. It's true. And, you know, during the 24-hour live stream, the topic of Kieran always dying came up. and I was joking about it, but I must have phrased it in a slightly accusatory way because Harlan and Joe were like justifying it to me. I felt really bad. They don't have to justify anything, but like one of the reasons that they stated that it was totally fine was that like Rob thought it was funny too, which I wasn't necessarily getting that vibe from Rob, but in hindsight it makes sense. Like they're a group of comedians. There's no way that they would just there's no way that Rob would just sit there and be miserable about a thing and be fine with it and just let it happen. Like there's got to be a part of the bullying that he enjoys. Yeah, I do agree that Mari is more a part of the crew now instead of just being like Red's like right hand man. I do think that she needs more moments with Doran. She's kind of got some connections with Jack in a way that I appreciate, but like I don't know, her and Doran I feel like could really vibe. Which it's kind of the Doran arc right now, so I'm pretty sure we'll be seeing. What am I doing? This is not what armor looks like. Whatever. I'm talking. There's gonna be so many things I'm gonna edit once you guys are gone. Which I'm only going until. Oh my gosh, it's 10 minutes until 7. Holy shit. Yeah, I mean, I said I would keep this short, and I gotta go eat dinner. Well, you guys got 10 magical minutes of me drawing scales. Nobody has any requests for these last 10 minutes. I'll do anything for the. I'll do a little doodle if anybody wants, but for 10 minutes I'm going to be drawing this. Yeah, we're definitely still meeting Mari. I feel like there's moments in season 1 where they stop being like a character and start being like Jack or Doran or Red or Kraloth. Cuz it feels like the moment where I was like, "Oh, I'm connecting with Jack now. Jack is like a full character to me," was when they went to Waterdeep and he had that whole thing with Torrin about leaving. That was like, "Oh, Jack's a character now." And then Doran with like the dwarves in next to Everland, like him doing that one-on-one fight, I was like, "Oh, Doran's a character now." Like Doran is like really solidified in my mind as like a full being, not just a paper thin character. With Kraloth, it was like I can't specify a specific probably all the imp business with Kraloth. And then with Red, I don't know. Red is just kind of no. You know what it was? When he was revealed to be a deadbeat dad, I was like, what a fascinating character choice. I was so about it. My jaw dropped. It was like really, really fascinating to me. And I feel like I love Mari so much, but I feel like we haven't had like okay, Mari's standalone a character now. I feel like she's very much a character when she's with Red, or a character when she's with Doran, or a character when she's interacting with Jack. Like we're seeing like sides of her, but she hasn't had like a spotlight. Do you know what I mean? Like this is what she's about. This is her inner conflict. This is like her moment. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, deadbeat dad. I loved the dwarves so much. That was one of my favorite arcs because it's such a tough position to be in. They're on your side, but they're not really. They're doing everything in the worst possible way, but they're not technically evil. Like they're people, but they're awful. They're bandits, but also they're fighting giants. But also, like it's so. Ooh, it was just delicious. I love Joe's GMing. So fascinating to put players in that kind of position because I know exactly how my players would have reacted. We kill them all. Okay, how do you kill them all? Okay, let's run away from them. Find like a million bombs or some kind of ex machina way to kill them, and then we kill them. Which is like fine, very valid, a very complex situation to try to navigate, to try to find a weaponry that can kill that many people. But the value of life seems to be very present in Dice Shame. So they can't just kill them all. They had the dwarf in their defense. They did kill them all, just kind of with neglect. They left them to die to the giants, which was their fault, not the Dice Shame crew's fault, the dwarves' fault. But yeah. Church of Joe, for sure. Yeah, I agree. The flashbacks aren't quite enough. Again, I really like Mari as a character, don't get me wrong. I just think that she needs a moment. And I think Scarborough is going to be kind of a Doran moment, which is fine. I love Doran, and I know my partner loves Doran, so I'm very happy for them. But, like, you know, there needs to be, like, a Mari arc moment thing. Okay. It's approaching 7 o'clock. What can I do for the last 8 minutes that I actually want to do? You'll notice, pro artist in the chat, that I don't label any of my layers, and I have 1,000,000 of them. And that's just how I roll. That's how I choose to live. That Doran is your I don't know what that chat means. That Doran is my type. Ain't nobody got time for that. Thank you, Rutabaga. Nobody has time to label layers. That's silly. I know there's color coding you can do, but I am interested by that, but yeah. Doran, it's your time. Do, 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 do. It is Doran's time. Wow! Okay, that's the joke. Okay. Sorry. Sorry, love, I did not get that joke. But that was really, yeah, excellent joke. It is Doran's time. It's Doran's time, guys! Wow, they should just do that as a new intro for Dice Shame. I mean, the rockin' guitar and everything is awesome as always, but, like, it's Doran's time, guys. Because it's his arc. I'm very, very excited to see what happens, because I everybody in Doran's past is dead, except for his family that hate him. It's really fascinating to me. Or maybe his wife isn't dead. He goes back and forth on that. He can't quite keep a consistent answer to that one. But, yeah. Oh, man. If his wife is alive, though, I want to meet her so bad. 1, to hear Joe do a goblin voice again. And 2, because I want to see goblins. And 3, because it'll be very fascinating for Doran to interact with a wife that maybe hates him, maybe loves him. Yeah, I gotta go too. It is like 5 minutes until 7. Have fun at dinner, Scotty. Yeah, I'm gonna do this every Thursday, Scotty, don't worry. Even if nobody shows up, I'll still be drawing. Because I have drawings to do anyway, so. Yeah! Does Mari know? Is it assumed that she knows? Ugh, great question. You gotta go eat dinner, though. Don't even get me started. Man, babe, how do you talk and draw at the same time? You do it so effortlessly. It's like really distracting. I think, well, we got 5 minutes. Never has there been a grind more respectable than yours. Listen, Una Reverse, your grind is extremely respectable. Oh! What the fuck? Who the hell is you? Are you Harlan? Are you Joe? Oh no, I hope it's not Harlan. I lightly made fun of Harlan in a mild way. This was such a treat. Who the hell? Oh my god. Oh! Ah! Sorry, I'm a normal fan. I'm a chill fan who's chill about this. Who are you? Wow. Oh, I'm I'm literally blushing. I feel like I've been tricked. Oh, good. It's Harlan and he can take it. That's good. Oh, wow. Wow. What a guy. Everybody clap for Harlan. That's awesome. Hey, Alex? What? Alex was here too? Alex Nursall or Alex Guthrie? Salt and ketchup is Nursall. Oh my god! What the fuck? Y'all! Holy shit! You guys just decided to reveal yourself 5 minutes until the end? That's insane. Oh, wow. Oh my god. I'm a big fan. Clearly. Wow. I'm losing my mind a little bit. I'm a chill and normal fan. Uh, well, thanks everybody for joining. I'm, I'm flustered. Clearly, I'm gonna close stream so that I can go eat dinner now. But y'all were in here lurking. Yes, that's what I said, Scotty. Oh wow. Okay. Well, I'd love to scream a little bit more about the fact that Harlan just watched me draw and Alex. Holy shit! But like, I do have to go eat dinner. Had to lurk to get the full scoop. Wow. Okay, yeah, that's a good point. If you don't say anything, you get the full candid experience. All right, guys. I think I'm gonna close stream. Uh. Okay. That's crazy. What a reveal. What a twist. All right. I'm closing the stream now, guys. Bye. Thanks, everybody. I'll do this most Thursdays if I have the energy for it. So, see you, everybody. Boop. Boop.